Second Ezra 16 and 18. The beginning of sorrow is mourning. The beginning of famine is death. The beginning of war, power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evil, what shall I do? The evil shall come. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish, sent of scourge before men, but for all these things, which have planned for the wicked, always be mindful. Rockets in the humble, rocks in the shine, all the morning light, cover some shine, all praises to the humble, in the name of the humble shine, and the Holy Spirit, as always, double honor to our apostles and elders that bring millstones and talks of truth, who are ruled well with the Spirit is powerful for the gospel. Shalom to the Achaeans that are laboring to push the truth, as we would like to do so, being the prophets and teachers that are teaching through the Spirit and power of the gospel. To the rest of you believers, the Achaeans, you are watching children that believe in the Holy Ghost and understand sincerity and the whole heart, and are waiting for these last and final prophecies to happen on earth in the return of our Lord and Savior, Christ. Hungry man is an angel. This is a quote that was quoted by Apostle Gabar from this live stream, this most recent live camp that the apostles and elders were doing, which was done on January 7th, 2023, the year that all of the hopeful prophecies of the Holocaust shall come to pass. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for these last final prophecies to happen so we can go home. We want to get out of this hellhole and from under the supremacy, of Esau Edom, which is ruling over right now. Okay? But the coin is going to be flipped. And we're going to have the opportunity to rule over them and to rule over the rest of these nations for the rest of eternity. All right? And then we'll have this. And there will be the ones that are on top and that are ruling over the earth in order. And of course, that day is going to come when Esau Edom no longer exists. And this is filled with the prophecy. All right, the earth is suffering under this man tragically. Okay? And I put emphasis on the word tragically. Now, the meaning behind a hungry man is an angry man, it's pretty much self-explanatory. All right, someone deprived, of the basic necessities of life. All right, so what does the scripture say? The chief or principal things, which I'll grab through two scriptures in just a second. They won't be easily, made not upset. Okay, so someone deprived of the basic necessities will not be easily calmed down. They're going to be agitated. They're going to be upset. They're going to be frustrated. They won't be easily placated, which means to be make someone less angry or hostile. So when you take someone's food away, or when you take away the necessities that they need, basic necessities for life, they'll become more violent. They'll become more hostile. And this is going to happen in the major event that's getting ready to come to pass upon the earth, which will be the implementation of the NOTV system. All right, this NWO that the elitists of this world are going to establish, which Yahweh Shah is going to allow them to establish it as soon as it happens. All right, it's going to all happen quick. Their kingdom is going to fall. All right, it's going to fall. So someone that is made hungry, which in that event, you won't be able to buy the necessities that you need for life. Why? Because the dollar is going to collapse. Any event that they collapse the dollar and implement the CBDC system, a lot of people are going to be impoverished. A lot of people are going to be shut out. A lot of people that will not comply to the system are going to be starved out. They're going to do their best to put them in a situation to where they have no other choice, or they feel as if they have no other choice but to conform. which there's always a choice. All right. If you're an Israelite, you can believe in the Yahweh Shai that Yahweh will provide through his only begotten son Yahweh Shai. And have that belief even unto death if necessary. And you will receive a crown of life. Which means that you're going to be raised back up and receive salvation and everlasting life. And at least you got the victory over this beast system. But you have those that will conform and they're going to take it and they're going to be destroyed as it is written within Revelation the 14th chapter. They're going to be tormented within the lake of fire. So times are going to get hard. You see that particular measures are being taken, to destroy processing plants, that process food, which is wicked anyway, because food shouldn't be processed. You should be able to go directly from, the barn to, the stove and then to the table. Or it should go directly from, whatever, field you're pulling it from or whatever tree you're getting it off and directly to the plate in regards to fruits and vegetation. The other example I gave was of meat that is lawfully edible. But you have food processing plants within this place, and you see that there was a host of them that were being destroyed, set on fire, on top of, people like the hell gates or the gates of hell that are buying up particular farmland, and all of a sudden a lot of people are just ending up sick, eating particular foods. So you have also the Food and Drug Administration, that oversees, food, and which you have noticed that the majority of food that is processed has high fructose corn syrup in it, or a lot of salt. And both of those things can be very addictive. High fructose corn syrup can be as addictive as cocaine and heroin. Salt can be as addictive as opioids or pills. But these things find their way into your food excessively. So when you deprive someone that is a heroin addict or a cocaine addict or an opioid addict of their addiction, and you are forcing them to abstain, then you will cause that person to become agitated and angry, and they will do whatever it takes pretty much in order to get that fixed. They would do whatever it takes to get that fixed. They would do whatever it takes to get that high. And pretty much when people are eating, that's basically what they're doing, because these foods that are high in carbohydrates, that are high in high fructose corn syrup, that are high in sodium, are so addictive to the point where you are similar, to someone that is an addict to an actual drug. So when you take away the basic necessities, all right, when you take away the food that they're used to eating, they're going to become more agitated. They're going to become more frustrated. They're going to become more hostile. All right? It says in the book of Sirach, the 39th chapter, verse 26, the principal things for the whole use of a man's life are water, fire, iron, and the salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, though to the sinner they are turned into evil. Sirach 29 and 21, the chief thing for life is the water, the bread, and clothing, and head and house to cover shame. When there's a famine upon the earth, it doesn't mean that food is completely gone off the earth. That just means that in particular areas, food isn't easily accessible as it may be in others. And Esau gets this concept. So in the time when all of this economic turmoil happened, when the dollar collapsed, they're going to shut off the bread, and all of the necessities that come in through the trucks from coming into the cities, which is going to cause people to starve. It's going to cause people to starve. On top of other things that are happening, which I don't want to make it seem as if Esau is getting all the credit because it's really Yahweh Shah that's calling me. He's just using Esau. So when I say when Esau calls the trucks to, stop coming in, it's Yahweh Shah that's using Esau to make this happen. And in that moment, people will rise up against the governments. They'll rise up against, as one group, they'll rise up against their government. There will be CW. CW stands for civil. And the next word that comes after civil is the word war. So there will be those. There will be, all kinds of skirmishes, all kinds of fighting, people rising up against each other, people rising up against, other citizens. There will be a great division. There will be a lot of death. There will be a lot of fighting. There will be a lot of robbing. There will be a lot of ravishing. There will be a lot of rape going on. And these things are recorded in the scriptures as biblical prophecy. Now, this comes from the health.cleveland.org, and it says, when you haven't eaten for a while, the levels of sugar glucose in your blood decreases. When your blood sugar gets too low, it triggers a cascade of hormones, including cortisol, a stress hormone, and adrenaline, that fight or flight hormone. These hormones are released into your bloodstream to raise the balance of your blood sugar. But when that cortisol is increased into your blood, it also causes aggression. It causes aggression. Now, on top of that, the example that I was given earlier, remember, people being taken away from being able to eat all of these processed foods are similar to people having withdrawals, from not being able to have the substance that they're addicted to, such as crack, cocaine, heroin, pills, syrup, lean, all of those different addictive drugs that people get addicted to. Why do you think that there's something called the Food and Drug Administration or the FDA that is regulating food? All right? Because food is drugs. Modern day food has become drugs. When you look at the ingredients to particular food, there should only be one ingredient. If it's chicken, it should be chicken. If it's beef, it should be beef. All right. If it's water, it should just say water. It says spring. A lot of people like to drink particular waters, but then when you look at the water that this sodium in it, that sodium in it, and one of the reasons of putting sodium within water, is to they believe, or they'll say it's to preserve it, to give it a longer shelf life. But the sodium makes you dehydrated, and it makes you want to drink even more and more of the water just to fulfill that thirst. So you're chasing the thirst that you'll never get because there's sodium in it. But then the sodium becomes highly addictive, just like opium. It becomes highly addictive. So this is another website, and this comes from the ecowatch.com. And it says, as an ingredient, high fructose corn syrup was shown in 2013 study to be as addictive as drugs like cocaine and heroin, with salt proving to have similar addictive opioid-like qualities. Australian neuroscientist Craig Smith has studied the effects of salt cravings in humans for years, concluding that the excessive amount of sodium makes people crave salt more. And those who eat less junk food can benefit from lower salt cravings and therefore fewer of the negative effects associated with too much salt consumption. But the modern, or the Salakia, not modern, but the average person doesn't know anything about, being moderate eaters. The scriptures say in the book of Sirach 31 and 19, a very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured, and he fetcheth not his wind short upon his bed. Sound sleep cometh to moderate eating. And the scripture says more, but that's all that's needed. Moderate eating. That means that you're not a glutton. All right. That means that you're not gluttonous. That means that you're not overeating. That means that you're not excessive eating. And these people are not well nurtured, but they're food addicts. They eat and eat and eat, and that's the reason why amongst these Americans you see so much of obesity. You see so many people that are overweight. You see so many people that consume without a limit, and it's all going to catch up to you. When this great gift and famine comes upon the earth. Now, what Yahweh Shai is getting ready to do, he's about to force the world to go on a fast. He's about to cause you to be afflicted by not eating. When you go into Isaiah 58 and 5, it says, "It is such a fast that I have chosen, a day for a man to afflict his soul. It is to bow down his head as a bulrush and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him. Wilt thou call this a fast and an acceptable day to the Lord?" So this is talking about something else, but I'm using this scripture because it uses the word to afflict the soul. It uses fasting and afflict the soul, which means that you're in a position where you're not eating, and by you're not eating, it's afflicting your body. The word afflict, when you go to the definition of it, and this comes from the freedictionary.com, it means to cause grievous physical or mental suffering to it. The verb means to bring great harm or suffering to someone, to cause suffering or unhappiness to, distress greatly. There's another one. I thought I mentioned the word humbling here, but for the most part, this is what the word afflicts means. So when you are going without eating, it's not a happy feeling. All right, it causes unhappiness. It causes you know physical and mental suffering. But when you are going through that particular, even though you're uneasy, when you're doing it in righteousness, all right, your spirit is being strengthened. Okay, and you're growing closer to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. But in the world's case, they're about to go without eating, which is going to cause a great deal of unhappiness and distress. It's going to cause a great deal of unhappiness and distress. Here's another scripture that shows that the lack of food causes great affliction. All right, now this one is dealing with the time before our people went down into Egypt and how there was a great famine within the land of Egypt and Canaan. Remember, there were 7 years of plenty, and then there were 7 years that followed, which was a famine, all right, or dearth, or dearth. This is Acts 7 and 11. Now there came a dearth or dearth over all the land of Egypt and Canaan in great affliction, and our fathers found no sustenance. So what did it say? When that dearth came, it says a great affliction came. So there's going to be a dearth during this time. All right, you're going to have weather that causes dearth, whether it's the rivers drying up, all right, which rivers all around the world, lakes are drying up all around the world. You have animals being struck by lightning. You have animals that are drowning in floods. And this is what the Yahweh said when you go into the book of Second Ezra, the 15th chapter, beginning at the 7th verse. Therefore said Yahweh, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood cried unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. All right, the men that are silent crying for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Look, you're mad at us, but Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is taking action because we're sighing and crying at him as the prophets. And therefore, said Yahweh, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all their innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with plagues, and the punishment of Yahweh that Yahweh shall bring upon it. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hell and the fearful consolation. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, which means destruction. Now, when you go to the 16th verse, it says, woe to thee, Babylon and Asia, woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. Gird up yourselves with sackcloth and hair, bewail your children, be sorrow, for your desolation is at hand. And further down, it tells you how the desolation is going to come. All right, it tells you how the desolation is going to come. A lot of these places are going to be hit by thermonuclear destruction. And before that, verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are set as scourges for a minute. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of the scourges. See? So those are the ways that it's coming. And one of the things that's mentioned is what? Is famine. So Yahweh Bashim Shai is about to afflict the world with famine. In the same instant, when these cities are shut down, when the economy fell, when there's famine, that is brought upon the earth, Esau is going to implement that particular system. All right, which is what? The MOT to the B system. The MOT to the B system. All right, there's going to be lockdowns. There's going to be riots that are going on. All right, there's going to be a lot of casualties, a lot of death from famine, a lot of death from the wars that are happening in the cities, a lot of death from the lack of food. All right, it says right here in 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, verse 14, and I'm going to read this from the Good News translation of the Good News Bible, beginning at verse 14. The world and the people in it are doomed. All right, so this is speaking about, obviously, the people of the world. The elect is the world of their own. So the elect are going to be taken care of. Those that continue to trust and believe in the Yahweh Bashim Shai and doing it to the end, that are set up to be the elect. Verse 15, the war that will bring their destruction is very near. Nations will arm themselves to fight against another. Which is speaking of what? That's speaking of World War III, which we're seeing brewing, but it's not going to happen until the MOTB system is established. There will be great political turmoil, with one group trying to overthrow another and gain control while ignoring the legitimate government, which you're going to have people that rise up in insurrections against their leaders, ignoring the legitimate government. For what reason? Because of the sufferings that they're going through. These people are going to be deprived of the basic necessities of life, making them agitated, making them frustrated, making them angry, making them hostile. And the ones they're going to turn against are there different people within government positions. All right, the leadership of this country in whatever state or city that they live in, because they're so used to them being the ones that give them answers or help to provide, the things that they need to aid them, to help with resources, with sustenance, to help with aid such as like WIC, EBT, food benefits, money to be able to buy food. If there is a shortage of jobs or whatever. But they're going to turn against them, and they're going to be agitated against them because, why aren't you helping? Why aren't you doing anything to assist us? Reading on, it says there will no longer be free access to the city. Why? Because the cities are going to be shut up. The houses are going to be shut up that no man may come in. The scripture tells you about this. The book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. All right, this one that I'm reading right now, Matthew, the 24th chapter. Because the struggle for the power will bring destruction, terror, and total confusion wherever people live. Driven by famine and terrible suffering, people will assault their neighbors and mercilessly plunder their possessions. So people are going to be on edge. They don't want to eat. So plunder, they're going to forcibly take away your goods. They're going to enter your house. They're going to take your goods. And your life is necessary. And cannibalism will return. So people are going to become cannibals as well. All right, one of the worst ways to actually die is from famine, from lack of eating, from starving. Lamentations 4:9 says, they that be slain with the sword, that is, they that be slain in hunger, but they pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. When you go into the word pine, which is a verb, and it's from the 1300s, it says to torture, to torment, to afflict. See? And once again, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai is about to force the world to fast. All right? He's about to force the world to fast. Now, the elect in this time, they're going to have something to eat because Yahweh Bashmiel Shai is going to provide for them. But all of you gluttons, you know, men and women that are out there that are not well nurtured, that are not moderate eaters, that do not serve and obey Yahweh Bashmiel Shai, being wicked, feeding all of your desires, whether it be sensual, whatever your pleasures be, as it is written, you know, the people sat down to eat and rose up to play, you know, that's your attitude, that's your mind, just eating and carousing, and banqueting and riotous. That's your whole attitude. And having fun, being in mirth, and disobeying and disrespecting Yahweh Shai. Well, you're about to find a way because Yahweh Shai is going to afflict you by way of taking away your food. And this is going to lead a lot of people to be agitated, frustrated, hostile, and turning on each other in order to survive and eat. Look, go and read the history of 70 AD and how the wicked of our people during that time, how they ate their children, they ate grass, they were killing and eating each other in regards to cannibalism. Well, this is about to be all over the world. All right? People are already zombies. All it takes is the right moment to come to pass, which causes them to become flesh-eating zombies. And this is going to happen within a great famine that's coming upon the earth. So a hungry man is an angry man. All right, someone that's deprived of the basic necessities will not be prepared. All right, they won't be. There's no way to make someone less angry or less hostile when they've been deprived of the basic necessities of life. And this is an event that's getting ready to happen. All right, and how is bringing this event upon the earth? By way of, extreme heat, drying up rivers, drying up lakes. All right, animals drowning, animals being hit by lightning. All right, animals being killed with the sword. All right, being poisoned. Food processing plants being shut down. All right, and the economy is getting ready to pivot. It's going to turn from being a dollar rand system to being a digital dollar system, which the only way that you'll be able to access the digital dollars is through the RFID CHIP and the brain CHIP. And when that event takes place upon the earth, it's going to leave a lot of people stranded and destitute. and in need and in want, which is going to lead to a cycle of events that happen, which includes even more famine. It's going to agitate, that situation that's already going on even further. So people will literally starve, and those that do not want to starve will become angry, they'll become hostile, and they'll turn on each other. This is all the judgment of Yahweh Bashar Shah. But the elect will accept this. All right, let me end it off on this scripture right here. This is the book of Psalms 33 and 18. Behold, the eyes of Yahweh are upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them from life and famine. Our souls waiting for Yahweh. He is our help and our shield. So Yahweh Bashina Shah is going to provide for his elect. All right, his elect are going to have what they need, the necessities that they need to survive within this time and that time. But those that neglect Yahweh Bashina Shah, all right, that live a wicked lifestyle, well, the time is coming where you're going to die within great judgment, right? So with that, I truly hope that this lesson is edifying of praises and endures which the humble of Hashem Yahushua, the honors to our apostles, our elders, as we know some of the taught us the truth, and who are ruling the world with the spirit of power, Yahushua. Shalom, peace and mercy to all of you. Hope for the next. Shalom.